Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the study. Going to be talking about the Consumer Price Index CPI today. And before we proceed any further, I would like to state that the information in this video is not a recommendation to buy or sell any securities and is for educational purposes only. So, with the keyword inflation just going off about everywhere you go, you hear this word inflation come up. I had to make a video about inflation and what exactly is the CPI, and these two are closely related. Inflation surged 6.8% in November, even more than expected, to the fastest rate since 1982. This is pretty historic and pretty important to know. Even if you don't trade or invest in the market, it is just good general knowledge to have under your belt and know what is happening in the world around you. So I like the key points here that the CNBC guys have listed here. They tell you that 6.8% from a year ago, November, slightly higher than estimates. So it's going at a pretty hot or fast rate. And even when we exclude food and energy, it still jumped quite significantly, 4.9, close to 5%. And food and energy and shelter have accounted for much of the gains. They have pretty good information in this article. Although I'm not a big fan of CNBC, they can post some pretty misleading info on stocks and companies with trying to pull a lot of the retail investors to their agendas and all that stuff. But they do a great job of showing the consumer price index here, a percent change from a year ago. And you can look at all the items that they compare on that CPI, which has all the goods and services listed in there. And you can see these big drops from back then. And then you can see, fast forward to now, in 2020, this big jump that is just so significant. And when we look at this information, well, before we even proceed any further with that, we need to understand what is a consumer price index CPI, right? And it is used to measure inflation around the world. Many different countries use this. And in other words, what it does is it looks at the price change on goods and services. If you're not sure what inflation is, since I have said it a couple times in this video already, this simply just means that the demand for goods and services are exceeding supply, which then causes prices to rise. This goes back to the simple rules of supply and demand. If supply is low, demand increases. If supply is high, demand decreases. You may have learned that from maybe like an econ or a basic business class in school. That's pretty much the dumbed down version of it. So therefore, if we fast forward to the case that is playing out now in the last couple months and these recent years, we are witnessing now through the pandemic, the Federal Reserve has stimulated the economy during this time by buying treasury bonds. They do this in the open market to generate more money supply or just to make it more liquid, more money in, easing more money out. It is easier to get the money out in the system. So if we pause and look at the current situation of the low interest rate environment that we are in, and the purchasing of treasury bonds on top of that the Fed has completed during this time has created such an ease of cash into the system, while we also have a global supply chain issue taking place. This is quite a unique period of time that we are experiencing. And again, why is CPI important? Because you have all these factors taking place, and it is going to tell us about the change of prices, that the inflation impact from the cash pumped into the system, plus the supply and demand issues that we are experiencing at this moment. And we can learn more about the details of the CPI by digging into the report. And how do you get this report? You go to this website here, bls.gov. So bls.gov, they have it right here on the front page usually when these reports get released. They also have other reports here. You could look at average hourly earnings for workers, payroll, employment, unemployment rate, U.S. productivity. There's a whole lot of economic data on here. I'm not going to blow you guys up with too much. I just want to give you a general glimpse of how you can get the CPI, how you can see the price changes that have been taking place on certain items and services. So what you'll do is, if you click here, it's going to give you this old school looking, very hard to read, kind of looks like it's straight out of Notepad. You don't want this. You're going to be hurting your eyes. So go back, right? And what you'll do is you'll want the PDF version. Once you click the PDF version, it should look something like this. A lot easier to read. You have the most recent report here, and boom, right off the bat, it tells you the information that the CNBC guys reported, and you have this beautiful chart here. This chart tells you quite a lot already in just one picture. It tells you the 1 month % change in CPI when we go month to month. And you can see at the beginning, November, it was just a 0.2 in December, January, 0.3% jump. All of a sudden, we have this accumulation, this increasing going on, right? And then March and April, you really had the alarms going off here. You could see all the media outlets reporting, hey, inflation, inflation. And then even your coworkers and friends talking about inflation, inflation. It was because of this right here. You had a very big jump in March, followed by a big jump in April. Then you hear your friends and coworkers saying, hey, these used cars are going for so much. What in the world is happening? It's because of this right here. If you see this chart, this is such an accumulation and a big jump month over month. Then in May, you got a little bit of a pullback, finally. But then look at June. You've had this big burst of almost 1% in a month. And then you got a little bit of a slowdown. And then we fast forward to October and November, followed by two big jumps by 0.9%, 0.8%. And in this chart, this tells you a very cool display of the same information from the previous chart, but now we're looking at a 12-month % change. So this is how they get the 6.8%. You could see right here, November 21, this blue X right here is 6.8%, just under 7. The red line here is everything included minus food and energy. So if we look at food and energy included, you could see it in the blue line here, and you can see that food and energy is quite significant. This contributes to the paying at the pump, gasoline prices, grocery stores, all these complaints that you may have been hearing recently. You could see it clearly by this huge gap between the blue and the red line. We weren't having this issue in the beginning of the year, surprisingly. We were just experiencing general inflation. But now we're seeing inflation taking control here of food and energy, and that is just leaving people, kind of under this hard, stressful financial situations for the working class, and you have food and energy just trumping everything else. And this is where it gets really detailed. If you want to get a better idea of what is going on, you can look at the different categories here, food, energy, and you can see the big jumps. I mean, look at October 2021, and you can see here this 12.3 right here sticks out like a sore thumb. 12.3% change over on fuel oil. So this is under energy, commodities, gas, any other big numbers that stick out here. Really, you look at food just keeps on compounding over time. Food at home, food away from home, eating out versus groceries, those kind of things. You can see shelter as well. This is just pretty remarkable, really, because when you look at it, right, 12 months ended right here, fuel oil 59%, gasoline 58%, utilities right here 25%, used cars and trucks 31%. And if you really want to go into more detail and you are maybe a economics major, you can get a lot of detail looking at the food. They break it down, the energy, items, less food and energy. You got even like this coronavirus impact recommendation note. You also have the statistics reports that they run on here. And when you go down, you have the specifics of food. It breaks it down even further. Meats, poultry, you can see that these have jumped quite significantly, 12%. How about energy, specifically motor fuel, 58%. You can look at maybe tobacco and smoking products. Yeah, you heard that right. 9%, 8.9%. Like, there's so many things that are just jumping off of here that you may not be hearing in the news or from your social circles. If you look at all this data, it is quite remarkable. Even, look at this, bacon and breakfast sauces, 17.8%. Apparel too, wearing clothes, they have butter, anything, you name it, it's in this report. It is very detailed. There's a lot of information. Oh, check this out. Apparel, like I was just talking about, 14% here. It is really incredible. On men's suits, sports coats, and outerwear. Anyways, you get the point that I'm making here. You can see all these changes that have gone up, and I wanted to make this quick video showing you guys how to access the CPI, what exactly it means, what's in here, and wanted to end the video with why is this important to know. And this is nothing new, believe it or not. Inflation has been around historically, and you can see that with many of the different data sets available on the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. This data goes back for many years, and the main issue here is worker wages have not been able to keep up with these high increases in prices for goods and services. So what do we do here? And honestly, the simple reason is to start investing is to prevent this from taking over your finances. Inflation is going to cause an increase in prices. This is a measure of it with the CPI. We can see that. And when you invest, you are having that money in a maybe parked in a company, real estate, some sort of asset that is going to make you money in the long run. Because at this rate, if you are not doing this, this is unsustainable to just rely solely on one source of income without making this video too long. I'm just going to leave it at that point. I feel like I've gone over a little bit my target goal here, and I just want to let you guys know that I do have more videos available here on YouTube talking about different trading topics, trading ideas, investing for the long term, bonds such as TLT, the ETF investment vehicle. If you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. I'll be glad to make a video and cover that topic. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. You can visit me at thetradestudy.com, and I will see you in the next one.